Take a quick look and settle your regrets. Laying out the bricks now, as if you need a wall to stop the fall. Your bones are not even broken. Push yourself through without your regret. Even if you've been misled, and all of your dreams are dead. Carry on. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regrets. My cage, and I'm wrapped around the bars. And even if you've been misled, and all of your dreams are dead, even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regrets. Let's know better. I won't stop. We'll fade out in the cold. Dark red sky. Uncontrollable resistance shows
What's up, guys? How are you?
Tomorrow we'll be gone when love's right. The time is now. Restless minds and our best days. Resistance is all we got. Complexes in all this simplicity. Death revolution. Yes, Stay alive, follow me, moving up to Judgment City, standing out for our rights. We don't need your sympathy. Let's get done. Something's wrong. It's not it. Something's dead. Stay alive. Do not move. Let them think you're kind of willing. We will rise every time. Every day they think they're willing.
So wherever you go, shake your life as you know it. Some people will tell you not to. I will tell you, you do the right thing. I believe you. This is real. You can't tell me out.
What's up, guys? Chris with Cross CNC here. You guys didn't get a coffee and cuts yesterday. Had a little bit of an issue. I'm still battling. I am having severe head pains and shoulder pains. I can tell you it's not normal. If it persists, you may not get a coffee and cuts tomorrow. And we'll see where we go from there. All right. So, we got some people on here. We got Bobby McBride from McBride Woodworking. We got Uncle Carlos Salinas from Cerberus CNC. Thank you very much, Carlos. I appreciate that. Man, I am really hurting today. Like, I guess when I say I'm dying, I'm not lying. That's really macabre, but I like it. Oh, I hurt so bad, guys. I can't even begin to tell you. So the CNC for newbies machine, Carlito says, pace yourself. What's pacing yourself? And it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, but sprinting's always more fun. You don't see anybody tuning into the Olympics for the full marathon. You see them tuning in for the sprints and then for the finish of the marathon. So the CNC for newbies machine is up and running. We have the UC CNC operating with the Triquerta three axis touch probe and operating the Bosch router through computer code. Give me a second, guys. Okay. I forget what I was saying. Yeah, let's start over with that. I don't know. Oh, M3 code in the G code for UCCNC operates the Bosch router now. The spoil board is on, and we did some first tests. Okay, this machine is performing better than I could have ever thought that it would. This isn't me trying to blow smoke. This isn't me, oh, they gave me a machine, I got to give them a good review or anything. I sat there and used a 1/4 inch. I used a Sky 1 CNC or an S1R CNC, 1/4 inch. Where is the container for it? That's the ball nose. Here it is. 1/4 inch, 2 flute, square down cut bit in MDF, which is kind of like a no-no unless you're cutting through the MDF. Usually you want to use an upcut, because what it does is it pushes the dust down into it, and it packs it in. It packs the dust down into the carve area. And when it does that, you're actually cutting through the material and the dust, and it's harder on the bit. It creates more friction on the bit. And in doing so, you can heat up the bit and get friction on the bit much. You'll wear out the life, is what I'm trying to say. And then I was pushing that machine at 400 inches a minute with a full 1/4 inch cut, and it just chewed through it. It wasn't happy. The bit wasn't happy. The router wasn't happy, but the machine just kept chugging along. So I can't wait to see what this thing is going to do for actually chewing up some MDF and hardwoods and stuff like that. It's going to be pretty amazing to see, I think. And just going from there, going off of that, I think it's going to be a pretty awesome experience using this machine. They didn't mess around when they made this thing, I'll tell you that. They put this thing together, and when they put it together, they said, we want something that's going to work, and they actually got something that's going to work. So yeah. I used a 1.5 inch 2 flute surfacing bit, and I took a 1/4 inch cut in the MDF spoil board at 1 pass. That's how beastly this machine is pushing. And it didn't even blink an eye. The router is running much harder than the machine is. So I'm excited, to say the least. Helped a couple people out recently, and I want to thank you guys for giving me shout outs on Facebook and YouTube, and emailing the companies that I help with their product. James was nice enough to reach out to Charlie Thomas from Triquerta CNC, and let him know that I helped him get his touch probe working with UC CNC. And Charlie actually gave me a call yesterday, and was thanking me, and we talked a bit. So that was pretty fun. I helped out one of the ladies from the Crafty Guru page understand speeds and feeds. They got a Shark HD 520, and her husband is a hand woodworker. He's a consummate professional craftsman and everything. And they just ordered their first CNC, and they didn't really know anything about it. And they just decided that they were going to experience it and push it and see what they got. And their speeds and feeds were all wrong, and they were burning up bits and not getting good cuts and everything. So we spent some time with them, getting them squared away, and it was just a lot of fun. Let's see. For those of you that aren't familiar, this is my wiring diagram for my CNC for Newbies machine. Man, you guys are getting a crappy show this morning, aren't you? I keep losing my train of thought and everything. So we've been able to get the IoT relay working with the Gecko 540, and I just wired in. I wired in the positive side of the IoT relay into the power block, into the power source, the DC power source feeding the Gecko, which I believe is 36 volts on the CNC for Newbies machine. And then I ran the trigger over to pin number 5 on the Gecko, which is actually pin 17 on the DB25. So it's getting there, you know. That thing's actually ready to run later today after I get done doing a sign install. We will be doing some videos. I posted some videos on YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that of some projects we were doing. I actually got into another store. Another store is ordering more parts from me, so that's awesome. That's pretty much it, guys. Nothing major. So I got a lot of messages about speeds and feeds. So I wanted to do a little bit more work on that, and I'll show you kind of how we want to look at speeds and feeds. Let me pull up my chip load chart here. All right. There we go. And share screen. Okay. All right, guys. So goodness gracious. All right, so this is the chip load calculator. It's really odd sometimes we talked about the fact that um, a lot of these chip load calculators are geared towards um, industrialized machines that are doing 1,000 inches a minute, um, whatever the case may be. uh, the chip load charts don't really make sense for a lot of this. um, the depth of cut being one diameter or two diameter of the actual diameter of the tooling. You end up with something like 0.013 of the chip load. So 0.013, two flutes at 110 inches a minute. If we jump that up to, let's say, 12,000, so we know we want 12,000 RPM, two flutes, and we want 0.013, we've got to move 312 inches a minute. And I really don't think that that's the best way to do that. One of the things that I do is I use a chip load calculator, but then I also look at the manufacturer's tooling or tooling that's close to the manufacturers. So in my instance, for the S1R CNC's 1/4 inch two flute square down cut, end mill, I went ahead and searched the Tools Today website, and I printed out their tooling list for those size tooling. So now I have Amana Tools cutting information. So now I just need to find what tool is in reference to these end mills and cross references with this. So if I go on a 46337, that's a solid carbide, two flute plunge. That's an upcut bit, so I don't want that. So let's go 46437. And that's a plunge bit, not a square cut. Let's go 438. That's a plunge bit also. Let's go 202. That's plunge. 202-S. That's plunge. And then go 415. All right. And 421. And that's a plunge too, isn't it? Huh. Let's do this. Let's go. That's compression bit. That's spiral bit, spiral bit. I don't want the mortise. That's compression. Compression. I guess I'm going to have to go with the mortise. Okay. Square cut. There we go. That is what I want. Square cut. Quarter-inch by 1 inch. Solid carbide. Number of flutes. We need 2, so they don't have that. I don't want the Spectracoat ones. There we go. We'll try this. There we go. 46415. Four, 6, 4. This normally doesn't take me this long. I'm just not operating very well this morning. I don't know what my problem is this morning, to be honest. Diameter, cut height, and shank. Okay, so I need a quarter, 1. So quarter, 1 quarter. 315. Four, 6, 315. They're all going to be 215, somewhere around there. Okay. So we've got an idea of where to be with it. They're saying their chip load should be about 9,000, 6,000, somewhere around there, 6 to 9,000. So if we go over to the calculator and we put chip load in 0.006 2 flute, 200 inches. That's 16,000. So if we change this to 16,000, 2 flutes, 0.006, I need to be moving at about 192 inches per minute to get a 6,000s chip load. All right. So it's just a matter of really finding out what chip load is called for your actual tooling, and then for that material, and then inserting that. Remember, a lot of these chip load charts do not take into account the hobbyist CNC chip load count. So one of the really cool things that I do is I go to like Xcarve chip load chart images. And then for this, I'll just go MDF, feed rate, that's millimeters. So then I'll go to my phone. Here's some Nomad information. MDF is 4,000 RPMs, a 17,000 chip load, feed rate of 75 inches, plunge rate of 18. The Shape Oko, depth of cut 0.3 inches, 17,000 RPM. The feed rate of 80 and a plunge rate of 30. Okay. So you kind of, a lot of this is guessing, guys. You're not going to get the perfect setup every time. You actually have to sit there and play around with these numbers in order to figure out your chip load. And once you get your chip load, so this says 7 thousandths for a 1/4 inch softwood. For a hardwood, it says 5 thousandths. You play around with your chip load, you get your chip load from the manufacturer, and you basically just go from there as far as figuring out what your speeds and feeds should be. And then you just go from there. Let's see here. I'm trying to find a chip load chart for the Sky One CNC bits. So let's see if we can find some chip load information on this particular bit. And I'm just going to go through, I'm really just going through trying to figure out which bit is going to be close enough to actually get the information that I need. Copperhead Mike, what's up? I'm not seeing a lot of information there. So carbide, 1/4 inch, 2 flute, down cut. Okay. Here's let's see, depth of cut, 2 flute spiral, 1 inch length of cut. The flutes are designed to push chips downward. Cutting tip diameter is 1/4 inch and the length of cut is 1 inch. Quarter inch by 2.5 inch cut. This seems really comparable. Speeds are between 16 to 18K, feed rate of 50 to 60 inches per minute, and a ramp down of 25 to 30 inches per minute for softwoods, hardwoods, and plywoods. MDFs and laminates, 16 to 18K, 100 to 110 inches a minute, and a ramp down of 50 to 55. Okay, so now based on this information, this is, let me see if I can share this screen. I don't know if it's going to come up. There we go. All right, so this is the product detail as close to the product that I have on hand. Okay, so by me doing the test that I did, I pushed that bit 4 times as hard as what it should have been, and it didn't break. So right there tells you something. Between the router, the frame, and the bit, I was destroying the whole operation. So now I find something pretty comparable, and I can plug these numbers in and get a chip load rating on this particular tool. So if we're in MDF, 16 to 18K, 100 to 110 inches per minute, feed rate, plunge rate, 50 to 55 inches per minute. Okay. let's plug this into the chip load calculator and see what we've got. So we've got RPM, we've got the number of flutes, and we've got the feed rate. So we've got feed rate, we've got RPM and flutes. Okay. Feed rate of 100. So that's saying 0028 chip load. And then if we bump that up to 110, that's saying 0031. All right. So at 1800 RPM, we can get 0.0031 two flute, 1800 RPM. We need to be moving at 110 inches a minute. For 0.0028, we need to be moving at 100 inches a minute. So let me share my screen here. All right. I wonder if I create multiple let me try something on this StreamYard. I'm going to try something on StreamYard I haven't done yet. And I'm going to see if I can't bring you guys into or bring on another screen that I can switch between. Stop screen. How's that? Nope. Okay, that's not going to work. I thought I was onto something there, but never mind. Okay, so feed rates. We got our information. We can start pushing this. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run this at like 150 to maybe 200 and see what we've got. The company just got back to me. Oh, wow. They went real conservative on their feed rates. But it is what it is. So right now, as you can tell, we've got a range, and you basically just have to pick your numbers and pick them out of thin air and figure out what your chip load is. So if you go by Amana Tools and their comparable bit, you're looking at 110 inches a minute and 55 inches plunge rate. So I cross-referenced that with another manufacturer, and I got the same. So now I know that my chip load for softwood MDF, which would be 13 here, should actually be around 3,000s. Okay. And I can actually create a tooling platform here with, let's see. So I can create a tooling platform down here of MDF times 1 diameter DOC, depth of cut, 1/4 inch, 2 flute, down cut, 0.0031, and go from there. And now I know whenever I want that, I go up here, I start putting in that information, and I build my own chip load chart right down here. And just by doing that little bit of testing, I can actually figure out where I want my chip loads to be based on my machine. And then I go out, I test them. Once I test them, I can then go through and upgrade the chip load. I can write down my profile of my feed rate, my RPM, my flutes, my material, if it was sheet, if it was a profile, if it was a pocket, so on and so forth. And that, my friends, is how you go through and actually prove out your chip load calculator. It's not as simple as put in the numbers, get the speed and feed, and go from there. It's not that simple. But it is doable. So, and we'll basically just go from there. So now you guys are starting to see like how to actually design your chip load calculator in reference to material in real world cutting for your machine. Maybe I find that this chip load calculator says 110, but I can push my machine up to 175. And in doing so, I now get a chip load of 0.0049. So I can go down here and I can change my chip load calculator to 0.0049. And I'll be able to know next time, okay, MDF, one times depth of cut, and this should be my chip load. and you just go in and build that platform. And as you build that platform, you're going to end up with much better cut ratios or cut times and cut qualities. And then once you figure out your feed rate and your acceleration and your minimum distance for acceleration on the vector length, you'll be able to understand, okay, I need a 6,000ths area for my machine to come up to full power and get to that acceleration. So it will start out and it may not hit that full acceleration right away. So now you'll know, okay, I need to make my acceleration based on this with this feed rate. I need this distance to actually accomplish getting to that speed. And then there's a corner radius required to maintain that feed rate where it doesn't drop. And some of them get quite large. Like if you're at NEMA 23, you've got feed rates over here. These are your feed rates. This is your acceleration profile. Your minimum vector distance needs to be this amount in inches. And let's see here. Okay. Let's say we're doing this. This analysis says that at 350 inches a minute with a 30-second squared acceleration, we need to have a half-inch distance for it to come up to full speed. So the machine can come up to full speed, and then acceleration and deceleration. So it needs 1.1343 inches to come up to full acceleration and then come down to full acceleration. And it needs 1.134 inches in the corner to maintain its rotation or its feed rate in that arc. So you need to make sure that your fillet on that is 1.134 inches. So there's a lot of information that goes into actually calculating this setup. So you need to figure out your acceleration of your machine in the profile, and then what your feed rate is, and that will actually tell you your minimum distance for a vector. Okay, so you could play around with these and just kind of understand, okay, here's my acceleration profile, here's my feed rate. It falls in between these two. And you can break it down kind of like a percentage and go from there. Okay. And that's reading the chip load chart and actually implementing a real life chip load chart. All right. All right, guys. That's your show for today. And I am, let's save that. And I am going to be out. Have a good one.